If you've ever wondered what it's like balancing a full-time job and a YouTube channel, this video is for you. Let me take you through a day in the life. Hi everyone, I'm Jenna. I work as a design engineer in the nuclear industry. Specifically, I work on medical isotope projects and I specialize in electrical instrumentation and control. And on top of my full-time job as an engineer, I also manage this YouTube channel that you're watching right now. So in this video, you'll get a good idea of how I balance my 9-to-5 engineering job on top of content creation. And I can't wait to take you along with me today. Let's rewind back to the morning.
Exhale. Gentle twist. Inhale and lift it up. Right knee. Left knee. Right knee. Left knee. Now both.
So typically after I finish yoga or my workout, then I'll come into the bathroom and I like to keep my skincare and makeup very simple. For hair, honestly depends how I'm feeling. I don't know about anyone else, but I cannot work when my hair is in my face. Whenever I have to sit and concentrate for a long time, aka literally working 9 to 5, I have to have my hair back in a ponytail, a braid, a bun, or at least clipped back. Let me know in the comments down below if anyone else is like that. Maybe this is just a weird thing that bothers me, but I'd love to know if this is something else that bothers other people. So typically how I balance working the 9 to 5 and this YouTube channel, I work quite a lot on the Sunday every weekend, and typically also Saturday morning, either editing or recording videos. And also I like to have a system where I script out a bunch of videos and then I will record them all in like a mass. It's difficult to do when you have vlogs, but when you're doing different like topics, like I tend to do sometimes on like science-backed research, then I'll do all the research and I'll create the scripts for all of them and then record them. And I like to have a bunch so that I can have a bunch ready in a queue and I don't feel like I have to be recording constantly, because recording, as you can imagine, is super time consuming. So if I can limit the amount of time that I spend in a week recording and then just try and like also minimize the amount of time I spend editing, then it also just feels like I'm not just working the entire week. So I highly recommend creating systems if you're trying to balance multiple things at once and trying to just make it as efficient as possible. So you want to try and do things in mass so you don't have to keep repeating the system as often. So you want to record as much as you can, and then you want to edit as much as you can, and then you don't have to be recording and editing back and forth quite frequently. You can have different phases where you're like, okay, today's my record day, and then today's my edit day. And that just feels a lot more manageable. And another tip is waking up earlier. I think this is a must. I need to get better at this. I am currently in a bit of a rut where I keep waking up around like 6-ish, but I want to be waking up more around like 5, so then I have more time to focus on my YouTube in the morning, like Monday to Friday, and I don't feel like I have to spend as much time on like Saturday and Sunday, and I can actually take more of a rest. So that's another big tip for balancing that I am myself. Not perfect. I need to start going to bed earlier so I can wake up earlier. It's literally as simple as that. Okay, now we gotta get going towards work. So typically I will work on my YouTube here on my personal laptop, and then I will go over to my desk in the corner and work on my 9 to 5 as an engineer. For some reason I like having this disconnect, but also I do sometimes just take my laptop and work at my desk over there. But sometimes I just am sick of sitting over there for so long that I'm like, I kind of want to change, and I just sit over here. Technically this is our kitchen table, but it works. So as a design engineer, my day-to-day depends a lot on where we are in the project and what design phase we're in. It's very project-based. Typically, depending on where you are in the project, it can be busy for a while, especially if the project has a very tight timeline. So you may be unsure about like, okay, what exactly do you mean like design phase? But if you think about building any sort of device, you have different stages that you go through when you're building it. Initially, you'll have like a conceptual phase where you think about building it and you plan. And then you'll have a phase where you actually work on building it, and then you actually have another phase where you're done building it and you need to review and commission it and make sure it was built properly. So that is a very high level, similar idea of design engineering, but it's a lot more detailed and there's a lot more documentation involved than you may think. Anyway, enough about the design phases. If you're interested in what I actually do day to day, right now I am working on my design requirements. So we need to incorporate some feedback that we've received from our stakeholders. So that is my big focus for today, is going through our design requirements. And you may be thinking, oh my gosh, that's your whole day just going through and like reviewing the design requirements and like updating them. Well, yes, the design requirements is a very large document. It is over 50 pages long of technical information. And we also have numerous stakeholders. So it's not like I gave this to one person and they gave their feedback. There are more than 10 people reviewing this document, and everyone has their own feedback. So you have to make sure you go through and review everyone's feedback and incorporate it appropriately. So that's my big task for the day. Thankfully, I do not have any meetings today. Somehow it always works out the days that I work remote, I tend to have less meetings, which is lovely. So I work remotely Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I go in Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we have a hybrid setup, which honestly, that is a big contributing factor that helps so much to manage YouTube, because previously my 9 to 5 job that I was working last year, also still in design engineering, but that job was 5 days a week in the office, and I actually had to commute an hour and a half one way to get there. So honestly, managing YouTube and that 9 to 5 job was nearly impossible. It was really hard to keep up with managing editing the videos and creating the videos, especially when you're in the office, and like I can't really do a day in the life in the office, especially in the labs there, like it's all confidential. Whereas now that I'm hybrid, I have a lot more flexibility to record while I'm working remotely. So a big reason I'm able to manage this is honestly because I don't have to commute anymore and I'm not in an office every single day. So massive shift in my life, in my lifestyle, and the amount of free time I have. I highly recommend if you are looking to start a YouTube channel on top of your 9 to 5. If you are currently going into the office every day, it may be a good idea to look for a more hybrid or remote position. If you don't have a long commute, like 3 hours a day was honestly, just saying it out loud again and just thinking like I did that for 3 years. I have no idea how I did that for 3 years. I think it just, something like that becomes almost ingrained, like a habit, and you get so used to it that you don't realize how insane it is until you stop and you're like, wow, that was not okay. It's not normal. It should not be normal to be commuting 3 hours a day. Anyway, so if you are interested, I highly recommend looking into hybrid or remote and having a job that has more flexibility. And if you do commute, I would try to either get a new job or consider moving closer to your job so you don't have to commute, because it has been a game changer for me not commuting anymore. And that is honestly what's been able to increase my productivity and also make sure that I can still rest. I feel like I have so much time now to just do nothing. It's great. Okay, lunchtime. So for lunch, honestly, it ends up being an assortment of things, typically food that we've meal prepped because I do not have a long enough lunch break to cook an entire meal. So we have to make sure that we are meal prepping. Typically, we like to meal prep Sunday, but then we also end up meal prepping more like Wednesday night, just because we like to have the food honestly as fresh as possible, but also not be stuck during lunch having to prepare it or having to get lunch out when we're in the office, because that is a really easy way to, first of all, eat unhealthy and spend unnecessary money. So we were having some salmon with pasta, mushrooms, tomatoes, and peppers. I love to cook like a ton of different vegetables and then just like mix it in with the pasta and pesto, because then I feel like you end up eating a lot more vegetables than you realize. So that's honestly my one hack to eat more vegetables, especially vegetables that you may not like but you know are good for you. So a little hack, but we're gonna take a quick lunch break to eat this, and then we're gonna head out on a walk. We have to get outside and get some fresh air, because I honestly just find that if I don't get out either in the morning or in the afternoon, my focus tends to plummet. My productivity and focus just will like honestly evaporate. I find that I just need to get out and get in a new environment, and then I completely feel re-energized. So highly recommend going on a walk on your lunch break. I also will still walk on my lunch break when I'm in the office, and I make sure to walk with some coworkers too. Talk to you guys on the walk. Okay, honestly, slight regrets not wearing sweatpants over top of my leggings because I am so cold. The wind out here, guys, is brutal. I put on this massive pink scarf because I thought the wind would be bad, just so I could like literally hide my face in it, and it is bad. The sun is trying to come out. Ah, there the sun comes. Yeah, it is kind of blue skies, but honestly the wind is so bad. No one else is really walking on the waterfront path where I'm walking anyway. Not surprising though, because whenever it's a really nice warm-ish day, this place will be packed. Whenever it's like really windy and cold, I feel like it's just like a few locals and mostly people with dogs, because no one wants to come outside. But anyway, one thing that I feel like I really miss whenever I go out on my walks is a dog. I think I talked about this in my last day in the life. We had Indy and I really miss her, but if anyone owns a dog and lives in a condo, I would love to know in the comments down below. And I just want to know, did you raise it as a puppy in the condo? Because I just feel like it's so difficult to raise a puppy in a condo when you constantly have to be going up and down the elevator. And I would just love to have a dog. I love animals, but I just feel like the amount of time it would take to constantly be taking the dog up and down is just like not doable with my schedule right now. I know everyone says like priorities. If you want to make it work, you make it work, which I truly believe as well. I just think it's not a priority right now, even though I really want one. And I also just think it's not really fair to the dog to have to be stuck in a condo without a backyard or any like green space to run around in. So there's that too. I think both factors are big contributors as to why I'm not getting a dog. But if you did raise a dog in a condo, I would love to know in the comments down below and just like some tips you have that helped you make it work. This view is always worth the walk. There are so many flowers that are blooming or like getting ready to bloom, and it makes me so happy to see all this green and I just feel like spring is finally here. Also, my favorite tree in this park is literally the willow tree. I'm obsessed with willow tree.
There is a life I lead in this city, hurrying to cut my teeth. I can take what I need to get by. It doesn't make it easy. The other piece of my heart. Hello, I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the goal. We stand on the opposite shore. Hello, my only hope. I look for the things I don't know.
Another piece of advice I have, if you are someone that has a ton of meetings, and I know it really depends on the position, especially like if you're a PM, like a project manager, or even if you're a product manager, I highly recommend blocking time in your calendar for, you can call it like deep work, personal work, so then you aren't constantly just your whole day is filled with meetings. Because if someone sees in your calendar that you don't have anything booked, they will assume you're free and just book it. So if you're used to having a ton of meetings, then I think it would be a great idea. Maybe you don't have time to do this every day, but maybe every Tuesday and Thursday you have like 2 hours of quiet time so you can actually catch up on like emails or other work that you have to do on the side outside of the meetings. So then you're not constantly working past 5 p.m. on all the other things you didn't get done because you were in meetings from 9 to 5. I thankfully do not have that problem, but I have worked with individuals that do have that problem, and that was their tactic to ensure that they could still get everything done. And especially in a position where you aren't paid overtime, I think that is so important and like a necessity. Another tip for someone like me that doesn't have a ton of meetings, but you may have like a couple meetings a day, if you have control over when those meetings are happening, like i.e. you are the one booking the meeting, try and book your meetings back to back. That may initially seem like stressful, like, oh my god, back to back, you don't have time to like prep or take a break in between. If you feel like that, then you can give yourself like 15 minutes between each of the meetings. But personally, I find that I'm most productive when I just get all the meetings done with, and then the rest of the day I have time to work on all of my other tasks that I need to do for the day, because my least favorite kind of days for productivity and efficiency, for me anyway, are when I have meetings just randomly throughout the day, and I'll have like 5 meetings, but none of them are back to back. I have these random fragments of time where like I can do a little bit of work, but then I need to stop and prep for this meeting and then have this meeting. I find that is extremely inefficient, and so if you do have control, try to book them back to back. Okay, that is a wrap on the workday. I felt like it went by so slow. I find whenever I have to do tedious tasks that involve a lot of focus and brain power, I just feel so drained by the end of the day. I also don't have caffeine, so I was kind of like, maybe I should have had a green tea. But typically what I like to do as soon as I finish work is do some sort of activity that divides the workday to my own personal time now. So usually that may involve like going for a walk, walking home from work, doing even like literally like a 5-minute workout, or honestly even just immediately cooking dinner and starting to do some other activity that feels very disconnected from work, and then I'm not thinking about work anymore. So that's definitely one of my goals that I'm working on, is to stop thinking about my 9-to-5 engineering job outside of 9 to 5. It's definitely easier said than done because it does consume so much of my day, but I'm trying to focus more on my YouTube channel. It's definitely a work in progress. If anyone has any tips for setting work boundaries, definitely let me know in the comments. That would be appreciated. So yeah, now that we are done work, I did a little bit of stretching just to feel disconnected. Now I have my laptop right in front of me here, and I'm about to start editing. So here is a new video that I will be editing about how to wake up earlier, just some tips based on science, and I haven't started editing this yet at all. These are just the raw video clips. So a tip that I highly recommend that helps me edit faster is a feature in Adobe Premiere Pro called text-based editing, and you'll see it on the panel here. So you can click that, and then you'll see this panel come up. I already had it clicked, so it's already here, and you can hit transcribe. And I'm not going to click it on this video because I still have to align my mic to the video, but I did on my most recent video. And you'll see on the side here, you literally have writing of what I'm saying. So you can easily cut scenes by literally selecting it and then right click and you can cut. And you'll see this text selected over here. So it'll show me exactly what I'm going to be cutting, and you don't even have to do it yourself. So you can just read through, and if you tend to talk a lot like me in a video, you can literally go through here and say, okay, yeah, no, that was kind of a rant. I'm gonna just like select it all, click delete, and get rid of that 2 minutes. So that is honestly a major hack that I found from a TikTok reel. So I highly, highly recommend, if you do use Adobe Premiere Pro, to implement that, because that has honestly saved me hours and hours of editing. I believe this is a new feature. That's what they said in the reel, and I've never noticed it before. I don't know how new it is, but I definitely recommend giving it a try. If you don't use Adobe Premiere Pro, hopefully your software has something similar. I haven't looked into any of the other softwares, so you'll have to check those out yourself. But highly, highly recommend. Such a useful tool, especially for YouTubers like me who tend to sometimes go on rants. So that is a tool that I hope helps you. Also, one last thing about YouTube. One of my goals this year is to reach 1,000 subscribers, and my big goal is to actually reach 100K subscribers, which I know that sounds like a lofty goal, especially because I'm not even at 1,000 yet, but I think it's like you shoot for the moon, land among the stars. I think you need to have big goals, and it's like the quote, like, dream bigger. Your goals should be so big that they scare you. So I thought I would just share that to keep myself accountable, and also you can help me reach that goal by subscribing if you haven't already. So definitely make sure, if you're not subscribed, to hit the subscribe button. It helps my channel out a ton and helps me get towards monetization and also that 100K big goal. And I have lots of fun videos coming out that I have brainstormed in my book that you definitely won't miss out on if you are subscribed. So definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you are already subscribed, if you can hit the like button and leave a comment, that would also help out my channel a lot. Okay, rant over. Thank you so much. Okay, so like I was saying, I'm going to do some editing on my laptop now. And then once I finish up a bit of work here, then I think we're gonna go on one last walk before having a small dinner. I had such a large lunch. I'm not feeling that hungry for a big dinner, but I feel like I need to do some sort of like physical activity first. I'm trying to decide between having a bath and reading or going in the sauna. We'll see.
There is a life I lead in this city, hurrying to cut my teeth.
Okay, so we just finished about an hour or so of editing. I have opted to go to the sauna, so that is what we're gonna go do now and wind down for the day and just relax and do nothing. And we'll probably just go in the sauna and then swim in the pool for a little bit before coming back and sleeping. So anyway, I think this is a wrap on the day in the life as an engineer and a YouTuber. If you have any questions about either, please let me know in the comments down below, or if you have any videos that you'd like to see me record for the future, I would also love to know. Definitely taking suggestions. I have a few in the pipeline that I'm really excited about. So definitely stay tuned. And as always, I will see you guys next Sunday. Bye.